What's up, everybody on Frontline Motor Pool? It's Bossman Wylie here today with Nick Hopper from All American Canvas Works. So, Nick, I appreciate you coming on and doing an interview since I've not interviewed you yet, since you're one of our premier vendors.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, let's kind of dive in. What what got you started into this adventure,
Well,
this hobby?
gosh, about I think 2008, a buddy of mine used to sell. He was a Jeep parts dealer, kind of a small guy. Got going, and a lot of people asked for seat cushions, and I decided, I wanted to help him out, and I enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. So I bought a sewing machine, found some used canvas, and started making some foam cushions for him. A few sets a year. We fast forward a little bit and started learning that there was more to Jeep seats than just foam seat cushions that everybody else was making. And I have a 45 MB, and I couldn't find, uh, the spring seats for it.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
uncommon to see in the market.
yeah, so that's kind of what kind of springboarded me into doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, there's so many vendors out there, and so many companies would make seat cushions and odds and ends of canvas that make the hobby move forward. But yours is so unique, which was so intriguing, and that's why I was so impressed with your work. Um, So you just up in one day decided that you wanted to start doing this because somebody asked you to make a couple seats. And what were you doing before that? What kind of work were you doing?
So for I was a commercial vehicle enforcement officer for the Washington State Patrol here. I did, I was I did 21 years with them here up until recently. Um, so that was my primary job. Doing the seat cushions early was kind of a way to help me restore my Jeep. I could sell the cushions, buy parts. This is kind of the vicious circle.
Oh, I get that. I get that. So I seen you were a veteran owned company as well.
Right. Yep. Served in the United States Army Reserves from 97 to '05. So
Thank you
spent
for your service on both fronts.
I appreciate that. Spent my whole career here in the U.S. So didn't travel the world as they promised me.
Ah, it's okay. They lie once they get you in that door, don't they? Um, so besides that, so you've quit your job. You're working for the highway, or you retired.
No, technically, I was not old enough to retire. So 21 years of service was a separation from the agency.
Okay. So, and you're doing Canvas full time.
That is correct. As of July of 2023, sorry, I don't even know what year it is anymore. I've
It's
been doing
okay.
I've been doing Canvas full time.
If you're like me, you hide in a shop with low lit lights, and that's pretty much what you do. You don't know what day or year it is.
That is correct. I kind of joke with people. If it's not on my calendar, I don't take a note. I have no idea what day it is. I just know I go out and sew canvas.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Matter of fact, I was surprised when I woke up early this morning, and I'm like, "Am I supposed to be at work?" No, it's Sunday. So, let's dive into your website, shall we?
Yeah.
Because you do post a good bit on the Frontline Motor Pool, but we're gonna go first right here to the front line. One of your posts here was about how you were wrapping up the new year for late war Ford GPW seats, and you made those springs and everything.
Right. Yeah. So far as I know, I'm the only company in the US that is actually building the seat springs from scratch. I think there's been other companies over the years that have repurposed old springs, but everything that I do is 100% brand new seat springs.
Outstanding. Yeah, because I've seen your products
Yeah,
in
so right there
person.
on the website, that Jeep you're looking at is actually TJ Zachman's award-winning 45 MB.
Yes, I've seen it in person, and that's where I've actually seen those seat cushions.
He was one of my first customers, actually. Thanks to him, I was able to get some patterning done off the late war MB seats because he had a couple of great seats in his Jeep that he when he was tearing it apart.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, when you look at unrestored Jeeps and you see the original canvas, you can usually see the metal uh
You've seen
springs.
the yeah,
Yeah, and over time you'll see that fading of that material. And that's one thing I like about it. You don't see that foamy cushion material that you see everybody sells. So
correct.
this gives you that true feel. And I'm assuming uh when you're riding it gives you that bouncing feeling versus that
Most
thump.
most people I talk to that have gone from the foam seats to a spring seat say it's a completely different ride, and it's so much more better than riding on a foam cushion.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah, because I've noticed, you list type 1, type 2, type 3. uh it, I guess type 1 is 42 to mid December of 42. So it covers the whole year of 42, and then type 2 covers December to May of 44. So 42 to 44, and
Yep.
then you have the end run of May of 44 to end of production.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit of the differences besides what's listed here?
Yeah. So basically, both Ford and Willys, from the data and kind of research I've done, did three major changes in their seat designs. Your Type 1 is what used mostly either latex foam or rubberized foam padding, had with the zippered seat cushions that had the pockets in the bottom of them. By the end of 42, they had to cut back on use of rubber in their manufacturing purposes. And so when you got to the Type 2 is when they first added seat springs to their cushions. The difference between Ford and Willys, Ford only used springs in their seat cushions, not in the back cushions, the top cushions, backs, whatever you want to call them. They never used springs, where Willys used springs in both the seat cushion and the back cushions.
Hmm,
Um,
I didn't know
yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
interesting.
So that's another question that people got. They're like, they were expecting seat springs in their Fords for the top cushions. Like, nope, sorry. Ford stuck with the horsehair padding from beginning of the war to the end of the war in the top cushions. Now you get to the Type 3, and there's some deviations in regards to what Ford built and what Willys built. Ford used a more compressed style spring, a thinner spring that you see in some of the photos, where Willys used the same spring through production. There's some minor differences as we go into, there's just little details that I put into it, but that's where you have the exposed springs. There's no seat cushion or seat zippers, and on the Willys, the top cushion, instead of having the three tabs, is a full wraparound that was held into the CJs and M series type seat cushions. So
Interesting.
yeah,
So
that's the big thing for what I do, is it's about the details. Nobody else here, at least in the US, is focusing on the details of production throughout the war.
that's what gives the advantage of your company versus anybody else. And that's what really stands out to me, because you're replicating the true original seats. Now, the biggest thing here, what I've noticed, and most Jeep people don't realize, is when it comes to spending money on your Jeep, it's let's talk about a 57 Chevy real quick. You're restoring a 57 Chevy, you're going to buy the original seats. You're not going to put in, old Buick seats or whatever. If you're spending the money to restore your Jeep, why do people choose the foam versus going this way? Do you sell more foam, or do you sell more of the original style?
Still mostly the original style. I think the biggest thing is knowledge. Up until when I started researching this stuff after I got my 45 MB, I didn't know there was anything different. I assumed what everybody was making out there was correct.
Exactly, same.
Everybody talks about, you read some of these other websites that build this stuff. They're like, we base it on the original designs. Like, well, there's nothing original about a foam seat cushion.
Just probably the pattern, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's a ballpark, similar to.
Having to the knowledge in installing these seats over the years. I've installed many different vendor seats, and I find that the foam ones are starting now to develop more, how can I say it, less quality than they were producing years ago. I'm seeing a lot of poor quality foam come in. I'm seeing, too much material, or when the foam is put in, they don't glue it or put any adhesive on it. So you literally have to take the canvas, stick the foam in, pull the seat cushions back, and then drill your first hole if it's a reproduction seat, of course. Drill it and then work your foam out, because as you know, the canvas, the material doesn't really give very much, but it will develop pockets as you go. So the foam kind of just moves around in there, and it kind of looks terrible, in my opinion. I do see you do offer a generic kit.
Yep.
Let me go back to that. Which,
as a business, I have to be able to appeal to everybody, and not
and
everybody wants. They may not be restoring their Jeep to a certain level. They just want something to put in it and go, and I'm okay with that. If that's what you want,
agreed,
I'm happy to make it.
agreed. But the thing here is I could tell your foam is thicker. It's not rotted, you know. So we ended up having to do a customer's Jeep, and the foam was brown and starting to, come apart. And these were just manufactured not even a month prior,
Man,
because it was a 6 or 8 week turnaround. And it's a well-known supplier. But, the biggest thing here for me is I want quality, and customers these days want quality. But you're known on the front line. You're known in a few other groups because you run the canvas division on Frontline. You and Farrell Fox, I
yep.
think. Is TJ Zachman also?
No, it's just Farrell and I on that one.
Okay, I think he runs Factory Class.
Yes, yep.
And for some of you guys asking what I'm talking about, there's Facebook groups where we're kind of attached to. So you can go on Frontline and you can see, this subgroup, which is Canvas Division, where it leaks to their main group, which is nothing but canvas for any vehicle. That's where everybody talks about canvas. Anything, what is it? Headlight covers to CCKW tops to seat cushions to you name it. Anything
Yeah.
canvas is there,
Yep.
and the knowledge is there. And you know, uh, you've put in so much dedication and knowledge into this. I know you've done your homework, and several of my customers personally have bought your products, and we can't, you know, say highly any more highly, in the canvas world than you, other than going NOS, because you're not going to find anybody else. I mean, look at this. You already put type 1, type 2, and type 3. You have your information laid out for the customers here on your website. This is perfect, and it's easy to use. And that's my favorite part.
I appreciate that.
So tell me, you ended up buying more canvas supplies and materials, because your canvas is spot on. It's
So
not that dark green. It's not that ugly green that most people see.
so we're still going through a third-party vendor. I'm still working. My goal is to be a factory direct canvas supplier. I've worked with the mills. I've got the pricing worked out to get the color and the spec that I want it to be. Right now I'm at the mercy of what the vendor has makes, because he sells his canvas worldwide, and the European market loves the funky green canvas. And so that's been an issue here recently. But luckily we're still, at least with the seat cushions, I can get the correct color material made. Seat tops and canvas top material has still been an issue with color spec that isn't meeting what I or Farrell want it to be.
That in itself is hard to find, I guess you could say. Uh,
Yeah, it wasn't an issue up until recently. Again, it's there's just only one vendor in the US that is having it produced. But because he sells it worldwide, the market overseas, he sells more to them, and so he's going to appease them for the color than what we want, sadly.
yeah, so just to sum that up for everybody else, the US Jeep world is so tiny compared to the MV world in Europe. I went over to visit David Wildenberg, and I got to visit different small groups and stuff like that. Most European collectors and restorers have history behind. They respect the history and everything. They want them just right, like you would do a '57 Chevy or a '71 Chevelle. They want them correct. They want them spot on. They want them perfect. So the market over there dominates. We're the small fish, the fish in the pond. Am I correct?
Yes, yeah. I mean, you're look at how many vehicles go over there, are sold to the European
Exactly.
market and everything. It's extraordinary the amount of equipment that's over there.
Oh yeah. And the thing is people still keep rebuilding them.
Yep.
So, every few years, your seat cushions could last 15, 20, 25, 30 years, but some sun fading on them, over time, customers are going to replace them anyway.
Yep.
That's how they are. They want their vehicles to look in regulation, looking good, competing. Whereas here in the US, we're not seeing that much anymore. But people are out there.
Yeah.
People buy these products. Now, tell me, I noticed that you have half track MB GPW tops. You have your generic seats. You have your Willys MB Ford GPW. You have the G506. Give me a little bit of background on the 506 because I'm a 508 guy.
Well, so biggest thing is because I own one now, and I was able to pick up original troop cover and in curtains. So that there's a couple of photos of them. And so, I haven't gotten into full production of those yet. But the goal is here probably within the next years to have a full lineup of the 506 canvas, along with the 508 and getting into the other trucks too is my goal.
Well, I will be your first buyer for the 508 in a
Yeah.
heartbeat
Well, I've
because
got the soft, the soft canvas cover. I have a couple of those now in my hands and seat covers. They're more going to be more of a generic cushion right now. I haven't been able to get my hands on any springs yet here in the
now
US, but
anybody have the original seat cushions with metal springs, please contact Nick.
yes,
And
please.
if they have it, you'll make them a set, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
if you have a set that he doesn't have, he'll make you a set on the house. That's what I think Nick's normally done.
Yeah, usually it's a minimal cost, if anything.
And it's great for R&D purposes.
Yep.
Like I said, I'll be your test dummy for the top. I've got an original top bow. I've got the original cab, the original windshield with all the slots for it.
Nice.
You know, I just don't have a top. My seat cushions in mine were something that the forestry department must have put in because the canvas or the foam is about that thick.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're sitting like this high to the windshield. So I'm looking for that low sit down, behind the steering wheel kind of
Yeah.
feel. But that's great that you do that. And then I see you have M38A1. This would have been helpful the other day in a heartbeat because, as I was telling you earlier, the foam we had
Hmm.
was a big problem. And then where they put the holes in for the bottom, to screw into the seat.
Yep.
What do you do for the plywood? Do you add an insert? Like, do
Yep.
you hammer down
Will
that
be the
captured
T
nut?
nut. Yep. That
Well,
is
the
correct.
the ones we ended up with from another company, they didn't use that. They used a helicoil.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I didn't like that. Didn't like the feel. And when you went to go torque it down,
Yep.
I've got electric ratchet. I just right down. I was afraid. I was afraid that that helical was going to go bloop right out of the wood, but it stayed. But you shouldn't have to sit there and fight the seat cushions on.
No.
And that's one thing that when we've been talking earlier, you said that's not an issue with your products.
So far, I haven't had any complaints. With the M38 and the A1 seats, right now I'm only got the generic foam cushion style. The springs are in the works. Just another one of those things to add to the to-do list to get done.
Hey, you just started not even a year ago. You're not even a year into it yet. You've already done so much R&D to this point. Don't worry about it. Your business is growing. It I know the feeling and I understand it. So trust me. I think everybody here on Frontline and every other group where this is posted to will completely understand. Now, tell me, you were talking earlier about the what was it? Let me pull it up here. The trying to find it on your page. Let's go to mutt. You started doing mutts. That's generic cushions.
Uh, yeah, I've got a couple of original stuff in house that people have sent me, and so I started working on them at the end of last year. I was hoping to have the seats done and ready the first of this year, but I ran into a couple of issues that I haven't been able to resolve yet, just to due to my time.
Are you eventually going to offer the? It's like a rubberized vinyl canvas or material versus
I'm
canvas.
I'll be talking to my supplier here in the next week or so. I'm hoping that the vinyl will get we'll get that worked out, but I don't have it yet. Right now, canvas is the only option I have.
I got you. Yeah, because that was for the M151 directly, and then the M151A1 still had canvas. When they went to M151A2, they went to the vinyl material and then they had the tops for the ROP system, which was like a vinyl.
Yeah, talking to a lot of people, that everybody seems to be interested in the canvas just because there's not a lot of availability of it out there. So that's going to be my focus right now.
That's correct. Most of the stuff that you're seeing aftermarket now or NOS is A2.
Yeah.
And those are even drying up. The ROPS covers, the seats for the A2s. So it's good that you're going to get on the ball on that because people are starting to reproduce the Mutt series products.
Yeah.
I think TNW and a few others are starting to produce products and reproduction parts, which is wonderful. Let's go into your gallery here. So tell me, when you produce this, how long does that take you?
Oh,
Or you
geez.
got it down to a science? Because you do
Yeah,
that all by hand, right?
pretty much. I found a supplier here in the U.S. to get the bulk springs, and then they're cut down and bent to whatever specific size I need for that seat order. The Actually, I really enjoy building the springs. It's such a to me, it's a simple process. It's easy. It's just something different, but it makes the product. This is the backbone of the product, or the springs. I
Literally the
almost
backbone.
Yeah, I almost hate on the zippered cushions that they have to be enclosed in the canvas and you never see them again, other than once they wear through the canvas.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Now, you did say to me earlier that they do sit out longer. Why?
So they're from what a lot of other vendors, at least, I haven't looked into the newer stuff people made, but they tend to make the seat cushion smaller than what the original size was. And I don't know the reason why. So the actual seats that I make are to the specs, to the drawing specs that I have, and they actually are full size of the seat pan. So they may look like they you know, are too big for your seat frame, but they're not. That's just how they were originally built. So if you look back at some of the original photos, they almost look kind of oversized and not shrink wrap tight like you see on some of the reproduction stuff out there.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the reproduction seat cushions out there are a lot smaller than what, the average pan. Now, if you get the reproduction seats, they kind of sit right in place, but original seats, they do sit a little bit shorter, depending on where you buy your reproduction seat from.
Yeah.
And I do see that. So that's good to know that you make them factory original, how they should be.
Yep. I even on the foam seat cushions I make them to the true size. I don't make them any smaller than what they should be. So
So do they go right up to the end of the seat?
yeah, yep. So
So
there's
so my
basically the
legs aren't
tab.
rubbing.
No, no.
That's the plus then, because the other seat cushions come back and your legs riding on the
Yeah.
metal.
No,
And
you'll actually if it's a zippered seat cushion, they'll actually kind of overhang just a little bit on the front of the pan.
my legs will love you then. No, that's outstanding. You know, just everything you make here and what I've seen on your website just makes me even more happy that you're part of Frontline. And you're included on Frontline Motor Pool on the website. You're actually listed on the top vendors from around the world. As you know, we have MV Spares, of course, Peter DeBella G Parts, Midwest Military, H.O. Wildenberg. And guys, remember, you can actually click the link and it'll take you right to his page. And you even have you sign up for an email list, which keeps everybody up to date on your new products, new
Yeah,
things.
I'm not very good at getting newsletters out as much as I should, but I try to at least a couple of times a month.
Well, it's been like me. I've been around the world recently, and I've been nose to the grindstone in the shop, trying to get projects in and out for people, trying to get stuff because it's springtime. The
Hmm.
restorations are almost done now. People want services, basic work done, get ready for all the car shows and summer. So, it's so good to see that you have such a variety and different things, and you're, you know, moving this hobby forward, and we have an option not to just buy generic seat cushions. We have an option to buy, authentic, original. And with me, as I've always said, and you've heard me from the beginning of Frontline when I started the group, I've always gave an honest opinion, and I've always tried to tell people to do things right. If you're restoring a Jeep, and everybody says Jeeps are the starting point of people in restoration world, they're on the cheaper end to restore. I mean, you figure how much you have in a MB or GPW versus a 57 Chevy or a 71 Chevelle. I it surprises me how people will buy generic things or cheaper products, you know, and to end up with those things. But for me, you're restoring it not only because it's a piece of history, but to keep its value, keep its originality. Just like I tell people, get the get the correct radio if you're going to put a radio in it. Get the correct seats, get the right steering wheel, get the right horn, get the right tires. Do the right thing. And you just made that extra little detail happen. And I assume now you're probably going to be in some of the judging manuals, that judging guides for the MVPA. They're going to look for your seat cushions now, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's a plus. So you should be the new standard for seats. I know there's so many vendors, but you should be the starting point of
And
somebody's restoration.
my goal is always to produce the best product available out there. I look at what I make and I might see the flaws in it and the issues and the problems, but 99% of my customers see the best thing that they've ever seen before. They've never seen anything like this. My customers aren't just US based. I ship all over the world, the UK. I've done Australia, New Zealand, Middle East. I have shipped all over the world, and majority of my work is through word of mouth. I haven't spent much time advertising the business yet because I've just been too busy. It's just been the product has proved itself and
Hmm.
people spread the word.
Exactly. And that's what caught my attention. Before I met you, I saw your seats on TJ Zachman's. And then I've watched you grow when you were still working at the police department and everything else. So I'm so glad we have you on as a premier vendor. Not only that, but to get the word out there that you sell the seats that people need. Yes, you could buy your generic seats from anybody or generic seats from you, but if somebody's doing a real restoration, a quality restoration, spending that money is not only an investment, it's is the right thing to do for the Jeep. If you're gonna get it judged, if it's
Yep.
gonna be correct, anything else. So it's perfect. You are a true asset to this hobby. You are one in a million, just like Darcy, Peter, David, and John Bazal. Y'all are tremendous people who give such influence to this hobby, and I want to thank you for it.
Well, I appreciate that. What just started as a way to produce cushions that I wanted for my Jeep has really turned into something that I enjoy doing a lot, and I'm so glad that I can do this full time now.
I started like you, and it was all over honest opinions where it got me to where I am now, being honest about products and honest reviews. And a lot of people don't like me being honest, but I'm honest, and that's how it should be in this hobby.
Mhm.
That's should be not hidden up with smoke and mirrors. So, but Nick, I appreciate you for coming on today and doing this interview. Thank you for what you do, and I hope one day I'll sell more of your seats and we'll get them in our shop as a product.
Well, I appreciate having me on here, and hopefully we'll get something out to you here soon.
Sounds good. You have a wonderful day, and thank you, Frontline Motor Pool. Stay jeeping, stay trucking.